Fargo is a serial drama based on a cult classic film by the same name. The series follows a failing insurance salesman named Lester Nygaard. Lester's whole world is turned upside down when he meets a cold and dark sociopath named Lorne Malvo. The main narrative features I will be exploring are character development, character representation, and visual motifs. An important narrative feature in the serial drama Fargo is character development, specifically the development of the TV show's anti-hero, Lester Nygaard. At the very beginning of Season 1 we are introduced to Lester Nygaard, a failing insurance salesman who is rather timid and not very confident in himself. As an adult he is still pushed around by his old school bully, Sam Hess, and to make matters worse his wife Pearl Nygaard is constantly putting him down by saying things like,
I married the wrong Nygaard.
And
But you're not a man, Lester. You're not even half a man.
And she complains that he isn't making enough money out of his job as an insurance salesman. This all leads up to a major turning point in Lester's character. The turning point being when Lester bludgeons his wife to death with a hammer. From this point onwards he slowly develops from a timid and cowardly character into a cold and heartless anti-hero. Lester's confidence in himself also slowly builds up. This is evident in scenes where he is interrogated by Molly Solverson and Bill Oswalt, the new police chief. In episode 6, at one point we see Lester without his orange puffer jacket. Instead he is wearing a long grey coat like the one Lorne Malvo usually wears. He wears this coat when he is framing his brother Chaz for Pearl's death by hiding the bloodied hammer inside his gun cabinet. He also slips a handgun into his nephew's school bag. This so then the police are drawn to Chaz's house where they will find the murder weapon. Lester quickly leaves Chaz's house, but in doing so he coincidentally reenacts Lorne's escape from the supermarket king's house after killing his dog. In episode 8 we flash forward a year and see that Lester is won Salesman of the Year and that his confidence in himself has grown significantly. He has a new wife and a much larger house, but just when he thought his ex-wife's murder was in the past, it rises up again when he meets Lorne Malvo at a bar. From this point forward, Lester has completely changed from the timid and unconfident character we saw earlier on in the season. Character representation is an important narrative convention in the TV series Fargo. An example of character representation in Fargo is the show's antagonist, Lorne Malvo. We are introduced to Lorne Malvo at the very beginning of the pilot episode. Lorne Malvo is represented as a predatory animal. This is shown through his long grey coat, which makes himself look like a wolf. He is cold and loves to mess with people's heads, often bringing out the worst in them. He does this in many scenes throughout the season. The most significant moment is when he tells Lester at the diner,
whole life thinking there are rules. There aren't.
And that he shouldn't let his wife push him around. This ultimately leads up to Lester murdering his own wife. Lorne Malvo is also a very cold-hearted, merciless and dark character.
Is this what you want?
This is particularly shown in moments where he kills at random without any remorse. These moments also show the audience the idea of Lorne Malvo being a representation of a predator. He also speaks in a calm and cold manner, which also depicts Lorne Malvo as a cold-blooded and almost inhuman character, much like a predator. Ironically, in the final episode of Season 1, Lorne Malvo is caught in a bear trap. He manages to escape back to his isolated cabin where he is shot several times and is eventually killed by former cop Gus Grimley. This refers back to the story he tells the deaf cop.
I watched a bear once. His leg was in a steel trap. It chewed through bloody bone to get free. It was in Alaska. And died about an hour later, face down in a stream.
Visual motifs are a very important narrative feature in Fargo. The main themes they depict are the food chain or predator and prey. For example, there are a lot of fish and other animal references in the series. In the pilot episode, after Lester kills his wife Pearl, he looks up at a fish poster, which reads, "What if you're right and they're wrong?" This makes Lester believe that Pearl was wrong to question his manhood, and that maybe he was right to kill her. At the beginning of episode 6, we see a fish tank in an Asian restaurant. One fish gets removed from the tank by a chef and is beaten across the head with a hammer. This refers back to Pearl Nygaard's death, where she is bludgeoned by Lester. It refers to the predator and prey theme in this case. Most scenes with Lorne Malvo in them have animal references. For example, in the final episode, Gus Grimley is driving along a desolate road. He notices a wolf standing out in the road right outside Lorne Malvo's cabin. This again depicts Lorne Malvo as a predatory animal. Fargo uses a wide range of narrative features in the telling of their story, this including the character development of Lester Nygaard, the representation of Lorne Malvo as a cold-blooded and predatory being, and the motifs used to show the predator and prey theme and the idea of the food chain through the use of animal references.